In the rolling hills of Tuscany, where olive groves stretch toward ancient stone villages, lies the small town of Vinci, a place forever etched in history as the birthplace of one of humanity's greatest minds. But what if I told you that beneath the cobblestone streets and weathered foundations of this medieval settlement, archaeologists have recently uncovered secrets that could revolutionize our understanding of Leonardo da Vinci's family heritage and early influences? For centuries, the family tomb of the Da Vinci lineage remained hidden, lost to time and the countless transformations that swept through this Tuscan landscape. The very ground that young Leonardo once walked upon held mysteries that would remain buried for over 500 years. Until now. In 2019, a team of international archaeologists, led by Dr. Alessandro Vezzosi from the Leonardo da Vinci Museum, embarked on what would become one of the most significant archaeological endeavors in Renaissance studies. Their mission was ambitious yet precise: to locate and excavate the ancestral burial site of the Da Vinci family, hoping to uncover artifacts and remains that could provide unprecedented insights into the environment that shaped the young genius. The discovery began almost by accident. During routine construction work for a new municipal building in Vinci's historic center, workers struck something unexpected: not the typical Roman pottery or medieval refuse that archaeologists commonly find in Italian excavations, but rather a carefully constructed stone chamber that bore the unmistakable hallmarks of a family sepulchre from the late 14th and early 15th centuries. What makes this discovery truly extraordinary is not merely its connection to Leonardo's family lineage, but the remarkable preservation of artifacts and human remains found within. The tomb, sealed for centuries by a combination of natural sediment and deliberate stone blocking, created a time capsule that preserved organic materials, personal belongings, and even traces of DNA that scientists are now analyzing with cutting-edge technology. Among the most stunning discoveries were several personal items that paint a vivid picture of the Da Vinci family's daily life, social status, and intellectual pursuits. Archaeologists uncovered hand-forged tools that suggest the family's involvement in engineering and craftsmanship predated Leonardo by generations. These weren't simple farming implements, but sophisticated instruments for measurement, metalworking, and what appears to be early mechanical experimentation. Perhaps even more intriguing were the fragments of parchment and vellum found carefully preserved within sealed containers. While much of the text has faded beyond recognition, initial analysis has revealed mathematical notations, sketches of mechanical devices, and what appear to be observations about natural phenomena, all predating Leonardo's birth by several decades. Could it be that the genius we celebrate inherited not just his surname, but a family tradition of scientific inquiry and artistic innovation? The human remains themselves tell a fascinating story of health, diet, and lifestyle in Renaissance Tuscany. Forensic analysis has revealed evidence of surprisingly good nutrition, suggesting the Da Vinci family enjoyed a higher social status than previously documented. More remarkably, several skulls show unusual cranial capacity and bone structure that some researchers believe might indicate genetic predispositions toward enhanced cognitive abilities. But perhaps the most tantalizing discovery awaits further investigation. Deep within the tomb's central chamber, archaeologists found a sealed lead box bearing inscriptions that match Leonardo's later handwriting style. The contents remain a mystery, as researchers are employing non-invasive scanning techniques to examine the interior before risking damage through opening. Early X-ray analysis suggests the presence of rolled documents, small metal objects, and what might be preserved organic materials. As we embark on this journey through one of archaeology's most exciting recent discoveries, We'll explore not just what was found in Leonardo's family tomb, but what these findings reveal about the roots of genius, the continuity of human creativity across generations, and the enduring mysteries that still surround one of history's most fascinating figures. The sealed lead box may hold the most dramatic secrets, but the human remains discovered in the Da Vinci family tomb have already begun rewriting the story of Leonardo's ancestry in ways that researchers never anticipated. What emerges from the careful analysis of bones, teeth, and preserved tissue is a portrait of a family line that was extraordinary long before Leonardo ever picked up a brush or conceived his flying machines. Dr. Maria Fontana, a leading forensic anthropologist from the University of Florence, has spent the past 3 years meticulously examining the skeletal remains of what appears to be at least 7 individuals spanning 4 generations of the Da Vinci lineage. Her findings challenge many assumptions about the social and economic status of Leonardo's ancestors, revealing a family that was far more influential and intellectually sophisticated than historical records had previously suggested. What we're seeing here is remarkable, Dr. Fontana explains in her preliminary reports. These individuals show evidence of a diet rich in proteins and rare spices that would have been accessible only to the merchant class or minor nobility. But more fascinating still are the bone modifications we've discovered. Evidence of repetitive motions that suggest precision craftwork, detailed writing, and what appears to be extensive use of optical instruments. The dental analysis alone tells an extraordinary story. Unlike the typical wear patterns found in medieval peasant populations, the Da Vinci ancestors show remarkably well-preserved teeth with unusual wear patterns on the canines and incisors. Forensic odontologists believe this suggests a family tradition of holding small tools, quills, or drawing implements in their mouths while working, a habit that Leonardo himself was known to practice during his most intensive creative periods. But perhaps the most groundbreaking discoveries have emerged from the cutting-edge DNA analysis being conducted in partnership with genetic laboratories in both Italy and the United States. Using revolutionary techniques that can extract viable genetic material from bones centuries old, researchers have identified several genetic markers that may help explain the extraordinary cognitive abilities that seem to run through the Da Vinci bloodline. Dr. Roberto Marchetti, a geneticist specializing in historical DNA analysis, has identified what he terms neurological variants in the extracted genetic material, specific gene sequences associated with enhanced spatial reasoning, pattern recognition, and what modern neuroscience recognizes as characteristics of highly creative individuals. While he emphasizes that genius cannot be reduced to genetic factors alone, the pattern suggests that Leonardo may have inherited biological predispositions that, combined with environmental factors, contributed to his extraordinary abilities. Even more intriguing are the personal artifacts found with each set of remains. Unlike typical medieval burials, where individuals might be interred with religious symbols or simple personal belongings, the Da Vinci ancestors were buried with tools that speak to intellectual pursuits. Archaeologists discovered precision-crafted measuring instruments, fragments of what appear to be early optical lenses, and metal styluses designed for detailed drawing work. One particularly fascinating discovery involves the remains of a woman believed to be Leonardo's great-grandmother, Lucia da Vinci. Buried alongside her were several small metal objects that initially puzzled researchers. Advanced metallurgical analysis revealed these to be components of a complex mechanical device, possibly an early form of calculating instrument or astronomical tool. The sophistication of the metalwork suggests access to advanced craftsmanship techniques that were supposedly unknown in rural Tuscany during that period. The tomb's construction itself reveals much about the family's status and beliefs. Unlike simple earth burials common among peasant families, the Da Vinci sepulchre was built with mathematical precision. The chamber's dimensions follow geometric principles that wouldn't become widely known until the height of the Renaissance. The stonework shows evidence of advanced engineering techniques, including a ventilation system that helped preserve the tomb's contents and a drainage mechanism that prevented water damage over the centuries. What emerges from these archaeological findings is a picture of the Da Vinci family as guardians of knowledge, possibly maintaining and developing intellectual traditions that connected them to broader networks of learning throughout medieval Europe. The evidence suggests they were not simply artisans or farmers, but individuals engaged in what we might recognize today as early scientific research and technological development. As researchers continue their painstaking analysis of each artifact and remain, one question looms larger than all others. What secrets lie within that mysterious sealed lead box? And how might its contents reshape our understanding of not just Leonardo's family heritage, but the very foundations of Renaissance innovation itself? The answer to that haunting question began to unfold on a rain-soaked morning in November, when Dr. Alessandro Bertini and his team finally received authorization to open the mysterious lead box that had tantalized researchers for months. The decision to breach the seal had not been taken lightly. Extensive consultations with historians, conservators, and even Vatican scholars had preceded this moment, as everyone understood that whatever lay within might fundamentally alter our understanding of Renaissance history. The opening process itself required extraordinary precision. Lead, while an excellent preservative, becomes brittle with age, and the box showed signs of having been sealed using techniques that were remarkably sophisticated for the 15th century. Using laser-guided cutting tools and working within a controlled atmospheric chamber, the team spent nearly 6 hours creating an opening small enough to examine the contents without damaging whatever lay within. What they discovered defied every expectation. Rather than documents or artifacts, the box contained what appeared to be a collection of small, intricately crafted metal objects wrapped in silk that had somehow survived 4 centuries in remarkable condition. But these were not simple ornaments or religious relics. As the team carefully extracted each piece, it became clear they were looking at components of mechanical devices whose complexity rivaled anything known from Leonardo's own workshop. Dr. Elena Rossini, a specialist in Renaissance engineering who was called in to examine the mechanical components, describes her first encounter with the objects as absolutely breathtaking. Among the collection were precision-crafted gears with tooth patterns that demonstrated an understanding of mechanical advantage that historians had believed was developed much later. More remarkable still were several pieces that appeared to be components of optical instruments, lenses, ground with mathematical precision, and mirror assemblies that suggested knowledge of advanced principles of light manipulation. But the most extraordinary discovery lay beneath the mechanical components. A series of metal plates covered with inscriptions that combined Latin text with symbolic notations unlike anything in known historical records. The writing was clearly from multiple hands spanning different time periods, suggesting that these plates had been used as a kind of family archive, with each generation adding their own discoveries and observations to a growing body of secret knowledge. The translation work, led by Dr. Francesco Alberti, a paleographer specializing in medieval Latin manuscripts, has revealed content that reads like a technical manual for advanced engineering projects. The inscriptions describe mechanical principles, mathematical calculations, and what appear to be detailed observations of natural phenomena. Most remarkably, several plates contain descriptions of flying machine designs that predate Leonardo's famous flying contraptions by at least 2 generations. We're looking at what appears to be a multi-generational research project, Dr. Alberti explains. Each set of inscriptions builds upon the previous ones, suggesting that the Da Vinci family maintained a tradition of systematic investigation and experimentation that was passed down through careful instruction. This wasn't casual curiosity. This was organized scientific inquiry at a level we didn't believe existed in medieval Europe. Among the most intriguing inscriptions are detailed astronomical observations that demonstrate knowledge of celestial mechanics that wouldn't become widely accepted until the time of Copernicus. The plates describe planetary movements with mathematical precision and include calculations that suggest the Da Vinci ancestors had access to observational instruments far more sophisticated than anything known to exist in rural Tuscany during the 14th and 15th centuries. The metallurgical analysis of the plates themselves has added another layer of mystery. The metal composition includes trace elements that are not native to the Italian peninsula, suggesting either extensive trade connections or access to materials through networks that historians have yet to identify. The craftsmanship shows techniques for alloy creation and metal working that were supposedly unknown in Europe until much later periods. Perhaps most fascinating of all are the plates that appear to contain encoded communications. Using cryptographic analysis techniques, researchers have identified several different cipher systems embedded within the inscriptions. Some appear to be simple substitution codes, while others demonstrate mathematical encryption methods that show remarkable sophistication. Dr. Bertini believes these encoded sections may contain the most sensitive information, possibly including references to other families or individuals who were part of this hidden tradition of knowledge preservation. As the analysis of the lead box contents continues, each discovery seems to open new questions rather than providing answers. The evidence suggests that Leonardo da Vinci was not an isolated genius who emerged from humble circumstances, but rather the culmination of a family tradition of systematic inquiry and innovation that had been developing for generations in secret. But why the secrecy? And what forces in medieval society made it necessary for this remarkable family to hide their intellectual achievements? The answers to these questions may lie in the final component of the archaeological discovery, a collection of documents that appears to reference powerful institutions and political figures whose involvement in suppressing or controlling scientific knowledge could reshape our understanding of how innovation actually developed during the transition from medieval to Renaissance Europe.